I got my boy Justin back on the channel. You guys haven't
What's
seen
up?
it's been a few days since we've done the video together. We are back at it today. So, Justin, I'm gonna let you go and start it off, man. So, if you want, we could work our way up to the top. Maybe you would like to start with who you think's gonna have the worst season, and then I'll
Yeah,
take over after that. We'll just kind of work our way up.
yeah. I think worst season is I don't think we're gonna have different quarterbacks here, and probably most of the viewers are gonna agree. It's gonna have to be Dwayne Haskins. He started 7 games last year. I believe he played in 9 total, and he only had 1365 yards, 7 TDs, 7 picks, with a QBR of 76.1. And he only completed like 58% of his passes. He, out of the other four, especially I guess if you're comparing now second year to second year, him, Daniel Jones, he just didn't really progress. I know that there was some talks that he just had trouble with the playbook. And on top of all that, he really doesn't have that many weapons compared to the other three teams. His best receiver is probably Terry McLaurin, who's, he's solid for sure. But after that, what they brought in Cody Lamner, a former Giant. He's probably going to be their veteran sort of possibly locker room in terms of receiver core leader. Jordan Reed was released. Vernon Davis retired. They don't have that real tight end threat either. So I just don't see Dwayne Haskins having that great of a year. They'll probably be better than what he had before, but that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, man, Dwayne Haskins, he didn't have a very good rookie season. I like how you pointed out that the weapons around him, he's not surrounded by a lot of talent. Doesn't really got a lot of help. The offensive line always a struggle. You got an old running back and Adrian Peterson. Obviously, they got Juice as well, but it looks like AP is like their main guy. And Dwayne Haskins, a lot of people believed that the Giants made a mistake when they took DJ, but for basing it on last season and the way both those QBs looked, I think everybody can agree that DJ is definitely on the right track. Whereas Dwayne Haskins, nobody really knows if that's even going to be their guy for the next 10 to 15 years. Whereas Daniel Jones, we've seen a lot of signs and a lot of glimpses that shows that, he can be that guy. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Dwayne Haskins, I definitely agree with that pick as far as
He's on a
heading into
short
this.
leash too. I don't really like I can see there being a possibility where he's starting and doing terribly, and they don't even let him finish off the season. So, like you said, I mean, he's not the type that like Mitch the bitch, for example. He's getting like a third year over there. Um, but
Mitch the
I,
bitch Trubisky.
I don't know about Dwayne Haskins. I don't know if he'll get that third year opportunity. They might pull a plug on him right away. So he's gonna have to come out slinging.
All right, so both agree with Dwayne Haskins being number 4 in the division. Moving on to number 3, man, I'm gonna go ahead and take this one over. So I actually got Daniel Jones, man. It kills me to say it. We're both obviously Giants fans. I'm trying not to be biased here, but Daniel Jones, I think he will have a much better season. If we're looking at the numbers last year, 24 tubs, 12 interceptions. He played in 12 games. He had 18 turnovers. I'm sorry, no, he had 18 fumbles, I think, and 30 total turnovers. I do think those fumbles get cut in half this season. If they do, we're going to have a lot more wins in our column. Now, if I was going to make a prediction on his numbers finishing the year, I do think he gets maybe 27, 28 touchdowns. And the reason why I don't have him above 30 is because I just think the Giants are going to run the ball a lot more effectively this season. And we're not going to rely on DJ as much. Because if we look at last season, man, the Giants really had to rely on Daniel Jones because of Saquon being hurt. We were forced to throw the ball a lot. We were losing a lot of our games. We're constantly chasing points because we're behind in a lot of our games. So, Daniel Jones, we had to rely on him a lot. I do think we're going to be much more competitive this season, and Saquon's going to get the ball way more frequently. So I have Daniel Jones number 3 for 2020. I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully he's number 1, but that's my pick. I mean, who do you got, man?
I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna do my number 3 and number 2 back to back here. My number 3 is actually Carson Wentz, and it may come as a surprise. Honestly, he had a really good 2019 season too. He passed for over 4,000, had 27 tubs, 7 picks, and 93 QBR. Completed 63.9% of his passes. The reason why I have him at number 3, I mean, really, when you think about the NFC East, has some pretty great quarterbacks, at least good quarterbacks, good to great.
Young quarterbacks.
With the exception of Dwayne Haskins. But, all right, so Carson Wentz doesn't really have that many weapons either. He has an old Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. So Alshon is like 30, Deshaun is 33, and they're both coming off years where they had some pretty serious injuries, and they started declining. So they brought in Marquise Goodwin for basically free from San Francisco. He's another speedster, but shoot, the last 2 years, he's only had 35 catches total. They're really going to have to rely heavily on their first-round pick, Jalen Reagor out of TCU. He's going to be the real threat. They're going to look to him a lot. Carson Wentz needs to stay healthy, too. That's another kind of question mark there. So, yeah, if everything goes great for him, if everything goes as expected, and Jalen Reagor, is that kind of immediate threat coming out in this rookie season, he's going to be higher on this list, number 3, of course. I just don't see all these things coming together for Carson Wentz and the Eagles. So that's why I have him at number 3. My number 2 is Daniel Jones. So it's kind of like you said, he had a pretty decent year. He needs to stop with the fumbles, be a little bit smarter in certain situations. But that being said, I think he's going to be a sophomore sensation. I think he's going to throw for over 4,000 yards. This last year, he only started in 12 games, and he still threw just a little bit over 3,000 yards. So give him 4 extra games plus a year of experience under his belt. And I see him doing better than that. I think he actually will get 30 tubs. It's not going to be high 30s or anything. I think he'll be able to pass that and maybe keep the interceptions to about that 12, 13 kind of number right there too. He has the weapons with Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Darius the Slayer Slayton. That one's for you, Connor. And, Evan Ingram, if he stays healthy too. And, of course, the running game to Saquon, it's going to open up the passing game for him. So I have DJ number 2.
I like DJ finishing number 2, man. Like you said, with his interceptions, really not much of a problem. As a rookie, he only threw 12. That's a pretty low number. And if he carries that over to next season, man, I could definitely see him getting that 30 TD mark. We'll see. It just depends how much we are competitive in these games. If it's really close, then for sure. But Daniel Jones, man, yeah, sophomore sensation, as you said. We can only hope. I definitely have high expectations for DJ. Now, my number 2 quarterback, I have Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz, you were just talking about him. They bring in Reagor from TCU. I think that was a great draft pick. Wasn't the guy they wanted, but they bring in some help for Carson. They still got Zach Ertz at tight end, who was a top 3 tight end in the National Football League, in my opinion. Alshon Jeffrey is getting pretty old. Deshaun Jackson, man, I know he's old, dude. He's still a deep threat, though. Deshaun Jackson is a speedy wide receiver, man. He can make those plays. So, deep ball threat, Carson Wentz, chip on his shoulder, dude. The Eagles, they draft a QB very early in the draft in Jalen Hurts, and I think that really ticked off Carson. So, yeah, man. Carson Wentz, he's my number 2. And number 1, it's got to be Dak Prescott, man, for a variety of reasons. We take a look at last season. He was second in passing, only behind Jameis Winston, of all players, believe it or not. Nearly 5,000 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, which is 4th in the NFL, and a very good completion percentage and QBR. I think Dak Prescott has the best receiving trio in the National Football League with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and, of course, CeeDee Lamb, which was like a steal in the first round for Dallas. And they got a top 5 offensive line, top 5 running back. I just think Dak is surrounded by far more talent than any other team in the division. I think you could argue that Dallas has a top 5 offense in all of the NFL. So I think Dak, based on the talent around him, is going to have the best 2020 season. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to win the division, but I think Dak, as an individual, has the best season out of the 4 NFC East quarterbacks.
I agree too. I mean, it's kind of hard to not put Dak Prescott, a Cowboy quarterback, as number one, but you got to admit it. I mean, he, like you said, came off a great season. Um, on top of Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, you have C.D. Lamb out of Oklahoma, 1,300 yards, 14 tubs in his last year there. Yeah, it's a different speed, different kind of game. Let's get to the NFL, but those are some impressive numbers coming out of a big name college school, and it'll probably just translate well, and he'll transition well into the NFL too. I think he'll be an immediate threat for the Dallas Cowboys. The tight end position, that's a little, I guess, questionable there. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I think, if it's going to be Blake Jarwin, who only had like 365 yards, 3 TDs. So that's someone, Dak, and even before Dak, Romo, they had Jason Witten there, and he was arguably like the top guy over there. So depending on what happens there, it might bring Dak's overall stats and play style. He'll have to adapt to something new in a way, but I don't think it's really going to be a factor. It's not really going to affect him too much. Same with Saquon opening up the pass game. They have Zeke and the best defensive line in the NFC East. So I agree. Dak Prescott is my prediction to be the top quarterback in the NFC East in 2020.
2020 season is upon us. It's approaching quicker and quicker as the days go on by. Justin, thanks again, man, for coming on the show. Always a pleasure having you on. More videos with Justin coming soon in the future. A lot of football. There's always football to talk about. Everybody, thanks for watching. Those are our NFC QB rankings heading into the season. Big Blue Wrecking Crew. See you guys next time.